listening to GUFON Radio with Rich Giordano.
My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
There has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to change reality.
I believe, as do the other folks that were on the flight, that when we visually saw it, that it was something not from this world.
GUFON Radio.
You were either in or you were either out, brother.
But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
GUFON Radio with Rich Giordano.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
GUFON Radio.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
You're listening to GUFON Radio with Rich Giordano.
Ow. Welcome to, all right. Welcome to GUFON, everybody. I'm your host, Rich Giordano. It is Wacky Wednesday. It is, right? September 7th, 2022. How the health are you? I'm doing great. I know this guy. See, who's this guy? Anybody want to take a guess on who that is supposed to be? I was going to put his face in there, but I thought I'd just leave it so it's not obvious. Will Carr, starting off before I even said 10 words with a $5 Canadian super chat. We all have the haters gone. We have, where have all the haters gone? A? B, I don't know. C, do we care? And D, they're dumb. Yeah, they're not going to show up. Tonight I want to do that again. That's why I was supposed to be last night. Forgot about it because Monday was an off day. It was weird. It was a holiday, so I got confused with the days, and I thought, So here we are. Wednesday is the Tuesday. We're going to do this again in 6 days, but we're going to do it until the end of September. I said I want to try to reach out to the haters, and if any of them have the cajones, the gonads, to talk about what irks you, don't you want to just talk? I'm not here to yell at you. I'm not here to berate you. I'm not here to defame you. You do that all on your own. But if you want to say, Rich, you're just the way you are. I don't like the way you speak. I don't like the words you use. Something. I need something. I mean, we just saw the inevitable. The J&A go over to the Angry channel. Now they're all pumping each other off over there. Oh, we have like minds. We're woke like you, but we didn't want to say it. Wilka, thank you very much. First super chat of the day is always a special one here at GUFON. So we like to say thank you, Wilcar, for the Canadian $5. Where have all the haters gone? Hey, gosh! All over the haters. That was obvious, eh? That was a good one. Mucho gusto, generoso. Grazie. Grazie. I almost ended the show by accident. Thank God they give you, are you sure? Right after you hit it the first time, or else we'd be done. Good job, Wilka. Roll call. Well, you know what we're doing. Jeremy McGowan. Is it Jeremy? Holy shiitake. Everything he wrote today on part 3 of the blog. Not sure if you're following it. There's a part 1, 2, and a 3. He's got a 4 coming out. I couldn't believe and this is rare. It rarely happens that you get vindication where your jaw drops. Like, I can't believe I was right about Fravor. Apparently, Cahill said Fravor thinks that the Tic Tac was fake. Oh, we're going to talk about all this. You have no idea the hypocrisy of Lou Elizondo. Cahill's a total lost, just like Bledsoe. Woke as they come. You're not going to believe tonight's episode. Roll call. Vitska, welcome to the show. And where are the haters? I'm only doing that other shit until a hater calls in, and I'm going to post the link right now. I almost forgot the link. They're like, I can't come in. I thought we were able to talk to this guy. All right, I'm going to put the link. I got to go to the YouTube section. Hold on a sec. I got to post it on the actual channel, not in StreamYard. Make sure it works so I can pin it, because you can't pin it. I still have to go there, but... and only haters. And don't fake hate either. No fake friending, no fake hate. I don't want my friends to call in and say, I'm really mad at you. And then, oh, it's just me. Don't do that. I'm not in the mood. For haters only. So don't abuse this, all right? To join the show. Now, maybe when there's 30 minutes left, I'll open it up for everybody. But there's so much to go over. This is really an amazing thing that just happened. Lou Elizondo, done. As far as I'm concerned, he should be done with all of yous. All of you should never listen to another word that freaking compulsive lying piece of shit says. And I mean that with all due respect. After what I'm going to tell you, you're not going to see it the same way ever again. And for those of you who read this, 1, 2, and 3, I think I have food in my teeth. For those of you who have read this, you know it already. And I'm sure in your mind you must have said, God dang, Rich was right the whole time? Yeah. Bernie Muro, welcome to the show. Hellfire Studios, you too there. Welcome to the show. Darkest Guna, welcome to the show. Nathan Allen, Nathan Nitsky, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Deckard, welcome to the show. Helen Crystal Energy, welcome to the show. Marvin Dale Likens Jr., welcome to the show. Lunar Sparkles Uno, welcome to the show. Rebecca Wiles, oh Wiles, oh Wiles away, welcome to the show. Carl Ann, welcome to the show. Alien Girl Uno One Uno, welcome to the show. Nicest person in all ufology, I think. But smarter than we think. Right, Amy? She doesn't buy into any of this shit anymore. No. You can't back out of it now, Amy. It's in writing. Good to see you. I slept through your show because I slept for once. Yeah. I'll have to check it out. Ian McFadden, welcome to the show. Jammer Travels, welcome to the show. And those of you know, Amy's on at 7 a.m. It's quite interesting. As I'm falling into my slumber, I usually fall asleep around 8-ish. It's always interesting to be the first one in that chat room. Where is everybody? Wasn't I there today? And then that's what happened. I was there early and I fell asleep, never showed up. All right. Ooh, that was weird. I just got I don't even want to tell you. Norman DePrince, finally, welcome to the show. I was waiting for you to come here. I was. All right, I wasn't. Holy shit, he looks like a prince. Welcome to the show. Moonlicht. Did I already say it? If not, I'll say it again. Welcome to the show. Cindy Boyd, good to see you as well. Who's coming through the front door? Boston Deadhead just made it here. Welcome to the show. Glenn Collins just made it here. But everybody knows that 15 after is when the show really starts, right after roll call. Philip Blair made it. Thank you, man. Welcome to the show. Steam Train Mark, welcome to the show. Sam O, I already did it. Damn it. Goob, good to have you back. Been a minute. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Brookers, I don't know if I said it, but I'll say it again. Welcome to the show. Brandon Cole, welcome to the show. All right. That about wraps up the welcome wagon. John Griffin, I don't know. I think I said it. Scott Blight, how you doing? Helmut, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Ozzy Tiger, welcome to the show. Did you change your... I don't remember seeing the tiger there before. Andromeda Native snuck in. How you doing? Almost missed you. Cookie Monster. Grover. What's his name? Grover, right? The Cookie Monster. Wait, no, Grover's the skinny blue dude. Cookie! That's the Cookie Monster. Cookie! I was thinking of the who's the one that lives in the trash can? The Grinch? Oh, Oscar the Grouch. I knew it started with a J. All right. Like I said, lots of stuff to go over. And I have got to change this behind me. It's distracting. I just can't keep looking at that for some reason. Hold on. Yeah. Where should we go? Should we go to, all right, let's bring him up. We're going to be talking about him. It's just perfect. Except for that. See, why is that slacking? You can't come down like that. I don't know why you're doing this to me. All right, good enough, right? Good enough. Darkest Guna throwing down a £5, £5. I have to say it again. This is the best community on YouTube. Do you mean GUFON or do you mean UFO community? And you don't have to throw another 5 or whatever to answer that. But I think you mean here at GUFON. And I'm going to tell you, we really do have the most knowledgeable of all people. Did I not pin that link? I think I forgot to pin it after I posted it. Hold on. I tell you. I got to find it. I could just post it again, I guess. It should be right around here. There it is. I'm pinning the link. And I'm going to post this in the chat. Darkest Guna. That is true if you're talking about here. All right. So, hold on a sec. Now, I was doing something. Oh, that's right. The banners. Here we go. Link to no, GUFON no, video no, join GUFON and let it all out now. Link is pinned at the top of the chat. Haters only. Let me put that in. For haters only. For GUFON haters only. There we go, Rich. Now you're getting it. Thank you. All right. And now we're going to save it. And scroll it. Scroll it. Join GUFON and let it all hang out. And let it all out now. Link is pinned at the top of the chat. And don't forget, those of you, I haven't said this in a few months, to see every single chat, you have to hit the live chat. Right now, if you go at the top of the chat, you'll see something that says top chat, and then that's probably highlighted white. Hit the live chat so you get everybody. It tells you that. All right. Thank you, Dakis Guna. Mucho gusto, generoso, Guna. Guna! Guna! That was like in Jaws. That reminds me of Jaws. What did he say? What was the guy's name? Hoppa. He was telling him to hurry up. Hoopa. Oh, his name was Hooper. Hurry up, Hoopa. We don't got all day, Hoopa. Hoopa. That was when Quinn was yelling back to Dreyfus to hurry up with the sling rope or whatever. Great movie. It's out now. Check it out. The original Jaws has been remastered in 3D. Cousin's brother saw it in Hawaii for $3, I think, or something. And yeah, if you want to see Jaws, when they told me how awesome it was, I have got to go see it because it's hard to be that impressed. And they were impressed. I mean, with the 3D, they said it was unbelievable. It felt like you were there. So Jaws, the original in 3D at select theaters. There's one here in Florida, about 30 minutes away. I'm going to go check it out. But it starts late in the day, 3:15. I'm not even up by then. But it would be good. I wouldn't do a movie review on a UFO channel. Who would do that? That's just crazy. All right, let's get to this. This is unbelievable. Okay, this has to be somebody who dislikes. We now have somebody calling in, and I'm going to bring them in. It's Vitatus. I think I'm saying it right. Hold on, I didn't bring you in yet. So just to let everybody know, this show is for the haters to call in. But if they don't call in and ask me anything, I will go back and talk about the Jeremy McGowan stuff. So we have our first person to actually have the Cajons. I'm not sure I'm saying your name right, but is it Vitatus? Vitatus? Can't hear you. You're muted. I'll unmute you. Can't unmute you. So Vitatus was here, but no longer. There we go. And for any of the haters, this is a new rule I'm throwing in. I don't want you to pussy out. You must show your face. If you call into my show without your face, that's only verifying what we already know. So show a little pride in yourself. Show yourself, because I'm not going to go through what I just went through. No face, no talk. No shirt, no shoes, no talk, no service. You get no G if you're not ready to play. Show yourself. Don't be a puss. All right? Because we here at GUFON are open to talking to the haters. And that's why we're doing it for 5 straight weeks, because they may not hear about it, in the first week, second week, but I've been putting little feelers out there, let people know, sending this to everybody who needs to show up. So they got the message. And they know about the message. So. Jeremy McGowan. This is unreal. This is the talk of the town right now. Now, I could read you part 1 and part 2, but I'm not. Because it took me an hour and 15 minutes to read all 3 parts. Part 3 is like part 1 and 2 combined. It's long. But there's a part 4 coming out very soon, if not tomorrow. 6,000 words in, he said. But this is really interesting. We get to see and hear things that we didn't know were 100% true, but, that I was saying, this has got to be what he's like. And he is. He is that guy. So it's strange. Cahill's involved with this big time. I'll read a little bit here and there from part 1 and 2 just to get you, into it. Holy crap. It's amazing. So Jeremy McGowan was sitting around doing nothing. He literally says it. I'll tell you. This is part 1 of a multi-part continuing story of how I ended up searching for the truth about UFOs. Each part details a significant event which, at the culmination of the final part, brings me to the present day. I hope you enjoy this trip. Due to a combination of memory loss and PTSD and age, certain insequential details may not be fully accurate. However, the overall story is a depiction of actual events. Subsequent parts will be published in the forthcoming weeks. Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. Carl Sagan. It's a good quote. Well, he says he was never really the UFO guy, but he was interested in things that we were in the 70s, TV shows, Space 1999, Planet of the Apes, Time Slip, etc., etc., etc. He watched all these in amazement, just like we all did. He goes on and gives a little bit of a history about himself. So you see exactly where he's coming from and why he thinks the way he does. This is very well written, I have to admit. Very good. He said he was enthralled by the idea of space travel, aliens, alternate realities, and science in general. But things changed. Soon, girls became more fun to look at than the Vogons, and getting my driver's license meant that I had the freedom to roam and not fill my head with sci-fi fantasies. Anyway, so he's found himself studying psychology in college. That's what I did. And soon after that, the college determined we weren't a great match. Oh, me too. What's this? All right. Hey, third phase of moon. Yeah, they do, don't they? Good to see you guys. Welcome to the show. Good to see everybody. Hope some of the haters have the guts to call in. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Hey, Johnny. What do you want to make a bet? Not one hater calls in? All right, I'll bet you $1. The usual bet. Brian Forster's here? Shoot. Oh, okay. Well, now I gotta be serious. Sorry, Brian. I was just, what is it, glamorizing? Back to the professionalism. Sorry. I was just a little amped up. I'm a little excited about this day. This story's amazing. So he said the first real job Jeremy McGowan had was at IBM. Here comes this bearded motorcycle riding guy, not really fitting into the scene. Didn't quite work out. So he decided on the way home that he was going to look at getting into one of the, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine. He looked at all the uniforms, decided on the one that looked the best, and went with that. I can't believe that's how he chose. U.S. Air Force. He was at the recruiter's office and flopped down in the metal folding chair in a front desk while putting his helmet unceremoniously under the desk. And what came next was so fast my head spun. You take the ASVAB test in high school? Yeah, I think so. Let me pull your scores. Says here you're qualified for almost anything you want. You want intelligence services? I don't know what that is. Yeah, okay. You want to be a mechanic on fighters? Not really. Not my thing. Okay, you tell me. What do you want to do? Well, I kind of want to shoot guns and blow stuff up. Gotcha. Okay, well, how about security police? Sounds good. I'll do that. Let's do it. So that's what he did. The next thing he knew, he was getting a physical exam, enrolled in the DEP. The recruiter explained that this was the delayed entry program, and he could finish having fun over the summer and relax and show up to the recruiter now and then until the training slot came up. However, maybe a week went by after the physical, and he got a call to be sent to basic training immediately. So off he went. And that's what he did. After basic training, he ended up at Security Police Technical School and then was assigned to Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina, the 23rd Flying Tigers, 23rd SPS. But unfortunately, Desert Storm had kicked off, and I was only stateside at Pope for a few weeks before my first deployment to the Middle East. Overall, I ended up spending 2.5 years in that sandbox on multiple deployments, as well as extensive time in the jungles of Colombia and elsewhere in South America. This guy's amazing. I mean, Lue didn't do that, though. You know what I mean? I don't think he did what Jeremy did. You know? I think Lue was just, a consultant on stuff? I mean, he wasn't out there shooting stuff down, was he? Anyway, neither here nor there, really. But 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year seemed the perfect thing for me. I can get back to my home, relax, ride a motorcycle. As long as I kept my hair short and stayed in a moderately decent shape, I was golden. Bear with me here. I meant to pull up the screen and read this along with you, and I got caught up in reading it. My fault. So, yeah, here he is. Anyway, he did his service. And all that. Okay, here it says, I sat back down on the sofa. He got home after that event, finished my popcorn, and spaced out for the remainder of whatever I was watching. I remember vividly walking to the bathroom, tossing the buttery napkin in the trash on my way and splashing water on my face and staring into the mirror for what felt like an eternity. I can't remember exactly when I made a choice, but it was made, and I soon found myself with my sea bag and duffel driving from West Virginia back to Pope Air Force Base. They called him to go back out. And this was a special mission that he didn't know about, and 9 or 10 other people went with him. So he had no knowledge of where he was going, who he was going with. But when he got to the airplane, and they were going to go wherever, to Pope Air Force, he said it wasn't just us. There was a whole different bunch of military personnel in here, and some guy with what looked like a civilian in one of our gear or one of our uniforms carrying an attaché case. Something was wrong. This didn't make sense. Nobody was talking. Nobody would look at me. He said all the other people didn't look at us. I mean, I wanted to ask questions, but nobody spoke. And that's generally what happened on this little affair, this new thing that he went on. Mike Johnson, $7 throwing down a super dono. Thank you very much, Mike Johnson. Way to be a continuing supporter of GUFON. We appreciate that. That's right. You can support the show. You know how. All the links are in the description. You guys are pros. Thank you, Mike Johnson. Alien bless. So I'm gonna shoot past all this because really I want to get to part 3 of this and just tell you, but there's so much in part 2 I can't skip over either. I'm just remembering. Well, anyway, here's the where he went, and that was the big plane he took. There's a top level on there where the cargo's on the bottom level. I decided that the reward-facing seats weren't conducive to my desire, so I crawled down a cargo bay, found a pallet of gear with some loose strapping, and made myself a hammock for the duration of what would be the longest flight I've endured. At that point in my military career, I was an M203 gunner. This is the M16 rifle with an attached grenade launcher. I had my weapon, but no ammunition while on the flight. I hadn't even been issued ammo prior to departing Pope, but was one of the contributing factors to me thinking it was an exercise deployment. But that soon changed as well. John Griffin throwing down a $2 spot. Birkins. All I got. Yeah, right? That's funny. Yep. Thank you, John Griffin, $2. That's actually funny. I like that you did that. And you're a continuing supporter of GUFON, just to throw that out there. Thank you. The flight lasted a lifetime. At least, my team had no indication of where we were going. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Now, to keep in this mind, I'd spent over 2.5 years in the Middle East and a long time in the jungles of South America. I'd been dropped in, flown, and driven in and walked into locations that were less desirable. But when the C-5 started diving into a near vertical corkscrew. My makeshift pallet hammock wasn't going to cut it. All this stuff flew all over him, and then the guy landed the plane. He said it was the most incredible thing he's ever done. Inertia was not my friend that day, as a metric ton of loose gear and water bottles, radios, and bags began to attack my face. Anyway, heard the cargo bay doors begin to lower, and they got out. He thought, lovely. We were standing off C5. It was just my team and scrubs. Welcome to Jordan, Mr. Rankless stated. Okay, I thought, at least now I know where we are, but why are we here, I muttered. You are now participating in Operation Ellipse Foxtrot, a joint services exercise. Your team is tasked with the security of various depots and remote sites supporting this exercise, says Mr. Patchless. Exercise my ass, I thought. This was no exercise. This was a full-blown operation in Jordan. But I had no idea why or for how long. It was undeniable that this was anything but an exercise. Confirming my suspicions, my team was separated. This never happens. We train as we fight as we train, and knowing the guy's reactions and personalities to your left and right is as important as knowing how much ammo you have and where you put your 8 pairs of socks. It's paramount to combat survival. And splitting up a team is just something that isn't done, but it was done. To this day, I don't know where the rest of my team went or what their duties were, but I vividly remember mine. Mine, he says. Now, I remember most of this now. So at the next part 2, they take him to look over a box, a crate that a car could fit in. They didn't tell him what was in it. They didn't tell him anything about it, but that if anybody walked up to it, to not let them. And he's like, what do you mean don't let anybody walk up to it? What do I do? Shoot them? Yeah, you shoot them. Okay. Okay. So let me get this clear. He's thinking, anybody who walks to this box, this crate, I have to shoot them. Wow. I wonder what's inside. So he's watching this thing, and it's a boring, they're out there at night in the desert, and he's got a smoking habit. So he goes off into the distance on top of a dune, and he can see 1,000 meters in all directions. And he lights up his smoke and is looking up at the sky, and he sees stars and shit he's never seen because it's so crisp and clear out there. And then the other guy who was with him, who monitors or watches the box, came up and lit up as well. And as they're out there, they saw something, a UFO, fly over them. And it made a right-angle turn. This was something that went so fast, it went from one end of the sky to the other in 2 seconds. And he said it made 90-degree angled turns without missing a beat. And he said it kept doing it over and over and over, and then it stopped. And then the guy who was with him, they talked briefly about it. And he's wondering, what the hell am I doing out here? He didn't even know the guy's name. He didn't know anything about him. They didn't talk, nothing, hardly at all, but they conversed a little bit. And they both agreed they saw something weird. And as Jeremy's wanting to talk about it more, the guy just walks away. Never seeing this guy again, knowing nothing about him. Jeremy just wants confirmation of what he saw. Hold on. My God, this is long. I forgot how long this was. So he tries to find the guy, never did, but now we get to the good stuff. So he posts his story about what he saw online. And he wants to know if anybody saw it and anybody know anything about that. And he told his story. And let me just tell you here. It was pretty interesting what happened. He says, almost 3 years to the date of this story is where we now begin, June 19th, June 2019. I am a year and a half out of a divorce with 50-50 custody of my then 6-year-old daughter. I am financially not in a good place and suffering from both PTSD and depression and a slew of other things that may or may not have real names. Insomnia is a genuine issue for me. I could sleep for 45 minutes, wake up, and stare at the ceiling, wondering where things went sideways. I couldn't turn my brain off. Intrusive thoughts and non-productive ideas would constantly occupy my head, preventing me from pulling myself out of a hole and restarting my life. I was at a point where life had become a repetitive assembly line of monotonous talks that required attention less they compile more issues. So I chose only to do the obvious ones to the outside world. The mortgage wasn't one of them, and often my electric bill wasn't either. Brushing my teeth seemed laborious and wasn't something I could drag myself to the bathroom to accomplish. I was doing the bare minimum for survival, not living. I rarely left my house. I was a mess. During an unremarkable incident of insomnia, I managed to drag my ass from the bed to the sofa and click on the television. I don't have cable, only a few streaming services. Browsed through them and I found a show called Unidentified, Inside America's UFO Investigation. The episode I landed on intrigued me. It featured some folks from the military describing their witnessing of a UFO. My brain locked into their story. Suddenly, 24-year-old memories of my time in Jordan were pushed to the very forefront of my brain and began slapping my prefrontal cortex and my limbic system. I began instantly obsessed with what happened to me in '95 and what was happening to the soldiers on that show. Running through the memory, of my 1995 event, I realized I didn't remember the name of the unidentified USAF security police officer who was with me that night and saw the same object I had seen. He was the only other human linked to this event and the only person I knew of on this planet who could speak with and validate my memory. Yet I had no idea who he was or what base or unit he was from, which drove me closer to the edge. Sorry, guys. I know I have to read more than you like, but I have no choice, or else some things just wouldn't make sense if I left them out. So I'm trying to just read the important stuff, but it's all pretty important. He sat down at the computer. This is where he wrote about his story. He says, sat down at the computer, I opened up Word and began writing a request to help identify this unknown person. I must have written the request 20 times each time I read what I wrote. I thought, this is insane, or saw something I had written that I couldn't talk about due to the classification or something that would cause me other issues. By 11 a.m. that morning, I had around 10 small paragraphs written out that touched on the generalities of what happened in '95. In that request for help, I stated that I believed the crate to contain nuclear material, most likely a calibration device used as an analog to calibrate satellites that searched for errant nuclear warheads. I was still in the mindset that this could have been some exercise, even though my gut conflicted with my rational thoughts, which told me it wasn't. After writing the request for assistance, I pondered who or where to send it. I decided to post it to a UFO sub forum on Reddit. Jesus, poor guy. That's where he went with it. The original post can still be found there. Well, in the link. No one seemed willing or able to help track down. However, a few of the replies that I got suggested that I contact the TV show I had just watched because they have an email address at the end of the show for military personnel who have witnessed a UFO tell their story. So I opened up the episode again, fast forward to the end, saw the email, and there I went. Being tired, lethargic, and allergic to human interaction, I copied and pasted the Reddit post into the email and sent it off. Then nothing happened. Nothing happened for about 6 weeks when I received an email reply from one of the executive producers of the TV show, Unidentified. Hey, why isn't it moving? It's not moving on the screen. That's weird. It didn't work. Is this it? Yeah. That was weird, right? Yeah, it stopped. So they get a hold of him. Then they send him to He was picked up in a limo, taken to the Vegas airport, flown to New York to the History Studios. Now, things started to take me into the rabbit hole that is everything to do with anything but about UFOs. I don't remember the name of the hotel I was placed in, and I'm not a massive fan of New York. I grew up in the country, was accustomed to having space. Everybody lives on top of everybody in New York. People live on sidewalks on top of each other. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. But he was hungry, he said. I wandered down to the hotel lobby to ask where I could get some food. The hotel bar restaurant was closed, but the check-in lady told me about a deli a couple of blocks from the hotel. As I turned around to walk outside and make my way through the urban jungle for pastrami on rye, I ran into the man who would be interviewing me the next day, Big Louis Elizondo. I thought you were taller, so I thought, as I walked up to him and said, "Hey, you're interviewing me tomorrow?" So he turned around and sized me up, and we started shooting the shit about UFOs for about an hour in the hotel lobby. Now, I can't remember the details of anything Lou and I spoke about, but it felt as if I was being told things I shouldn't be told. See, that's what Lou does. He makes you feel special. The details were just detail-y enough to seem actionable and solid, but also vague enough that it would be difficult or impossible to disprove. Nevertheless, I was fascinated by being told these things by the former director of ATIP. He asked me a few details about my story so he could better be prepared for the interview the next day, and I recounted my story. He told me about Christopher Melonhead, a bit about TTSA, and he really stressed the idea of UFOs being a national security threat. Remember, folks, Lou Elizondo, the Jesus Christ of ufology. He knows everything and nothing. This guy's a big, oh my God. A liar. That's it. Just a liar. I think that word's painful enough. No reason to expound, you know. But this is a tough read because I just read it all. Thank God. It's kind of like I can read before I see it. I know what's coming up, so I can read quicker. But, man, I hate to read. All right, out loud. I like reading. I just don't like reading out loud. So anyway, I flash back to my experience multiple times during our impromptu talk, thinking that I couldn't remember feeling threatened by anything. Because Lou said, remember, it's a threat to national security. And he said, I don't remember feeling threatened by anything. But I went with it because, well, what else could I do? My stomach soon reminded me of my previously aborted mission to find sustenance with a loud gurgle. I politely excused myself, told we'll see you tomorrow, and made my way to the deli. That night, back in my hotel room, insomnia kicked in again. Intrusive thoughts of going on TV and telling the world about my sighting event was nerve-wracking. I still didn't know who the guy on the dune that night was, and what more could I say that I hadn't already said a half a dozen times on email? Why did they need this on camera? They had everything I knew already. Why all the bother with TV? So he's starting to feel a little. Then a brep came the sound of the alarm radio. Then a slightly more friendly wake-up call from the front desk, followed by the sound of the electric razor and a taste of the toothbrush quickly erased by a bite of coffee made from the hotel tap water. My day had officially started. Soon I was transported to the city's other side in another limo. Graffiti, dilapidated buildings, razor wire, graffiti, more graffiti, half a dozen bridges, a ton of traffic, and surprising lack of parking spots passed me as I stared out the window, wondering, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Pulling up to the studio, I immediately see that it's nothing like what I would have expected from a Universal or Warner Brothers. Instead, it was a warehouse that looked as if once housed a furniture store or perhaps a sweatshop back when the surrounding neighborhood wasn't appearing as if it just emerged from the war in Bosnia. It had a few dressing rooms, a small cafeteria, a large room with many black curtains, a few video cameras, a slew of microphones, and 2 chairs. One chair was where I was directed. The other chair was for Lou's ass. Look at him. That's the ass. Over the next hour, I recounted my story, was asked questions, answered questions, was asked opinions, gave opinions. Thanked for my time, returned to my hotel room, flew home the following day. Wait, what just happened? I was supposed to be introduced to investigate. See, they promised him. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I skipped over it. The producer promised him that if you do this story with Lou, we will help you find that guy that was on the dune. They made him promises, and they forgot all about him. Welcome to ufology. Nah. You can't trust them. This is great. I just want to get to the third. I'm just going to go to the third. I can't go to the third chapter. I want to, but it gets good. It gets real good. Anyway, yeah. He said, what just happened? I was supposed to be introduced to investigators, researchers who could help me identify the person with me on the dune, and saw what I saw. I left with no answers. I left without my phone charger, too. Damn it. I sent a few emails to production that were ignored, and I was never extended the courtesy promised to me. And that was why I agreed to tell my story on television, damn it. Now, being back home and left with a sense of, was I just used? I retreated into my day-to-day life. I worked at a company which I will not name. Suffice it to say that it was the worst experience I ever had in my youth or adult life. The environment was toxic, blah, blah, blah. Entered into a new state of depression. Nearly a year passed as I felt I'd never escape the hell I was living in. Then, finally, the History Channel aired season 2 of Unidentified Inside America's UFO Investigation, and everything began to change. The episode featured my story was episode 3. After the show aired, my phone and email began to blow up. I got my first request for a podcast interview by Ryan Sprague. Shortly thereafter, I appeared on the Andrew Hall's Dead Hand Radio. It was on Dead Hands Radio, where the catalyst that would drastically change the course of my life was presented. During my interview with Andrew, he asked me straightforward and single question, what do you think ufology needs? I thought about it for a second and replied, standardization and data collection. I expanded on the idea that everyone out hunting UFOs was using different equipment, different cameras, different processes for collecting, and it was primarily image-based. And because camera phones are awful at photographing distant objects, we needed something that everyone could use, something that was purpose-built for the single task of collecting imagery and data on UFOs. And then Andrew mentioned the first time I would ever hear Sky-Hub. Sky-Hub? Now, I won't bore you with the details of what Sky-Hub, now Sky 360, was, but suffice it to say that while I was still speaking with Andrew on the podcast, I was using my second monitor to research and begin to order parts for what would become, for a while, the Heart of Osiris. So, as parts began to arrive, he began assembling Sky-Hub. Piece by piece, mistake by mistake, I soldered connections. I learned that my soldering skills were abhorrent and soldered them until, again, at least it looked as if I knew what I was doing. I became vaguely familiar with Linux, Docker containers, and NVIDIA Jetsons. Then after weeks and weeks of desktop tinkering, I flipped the switch and watched it boot up. So many features didn't work, but the camera did. Then it struck me. I live in the brightest city on the planet. How the hell am I supposed to capture anything with all this light pollution? The answer was simple, I thought. Mobile. It had to be mobile. A few months before, I retired my 96 GMC Jimmy, a vehicle that had been my family's daily driver for nearly 3 years. It had been stolen and recovered, but it was never the same. The thieves had gutted and slashed the seat, stolen the radio with a crowbar, broken the steering column, and utterly destroyed the transmission, yet I still drove it, as I had nothing else. By the time had come to get something that was, at least a bit more dependable. As luck would have it, I chanced upon a visually pristine 99 Land Rover Discovery 2, one of the most capable off-road vehicles ever produced. Replacing the Jimmy, it had become the new McGowan family ride. It was royal blue with a tan interior, and like every Land Rover, everything was braking. I love that with this blah, 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 blah. I wish I could own a $50,000 Land Rover. I said Randlover. Hey, look at the Randlover. Huh? Sorry. All right, so I began to document the process as I recently found this hodgepodge of disparate people on Twitter gathered under the unifying hashtag UFO Twitter. With my appearance on the TV show and a few podcasts under my belt, the building of this vehicle with the Skyhub became apparently of interest to quite a few folks online. To my surprise, my meager 200 followers began to jump exponentially. This was a wild world. I didn't know who anyone was. I had never heard of Richard Doty. It's not Lena M. Howell. It's Linda Moulton Howell. Oh my God. Did he mean this? Lena M. Howell? He didn't know her name was Linda? And the last name was Howe? How could that be? This has got to be a joke. Huh. Hal put off for any of those people. I didn't know any of those. But UFO Twitter wouldn't stop talking about them. As the vehicle build continued, the Skyhub began to take shape in the back. I got Twitter DM from a guy of the name of Jake Mann. Jake and I talked for what seemed to be hours. He told me he was a producer who ran an informative podcast on UFOs and that he'd been following my vehicle and Skyhub build. He said that he would be interested in documenting my story and progress. We talked about how it was important to show that everyday people can stop relying on this or any government for the truth about what is happening in our skies. Soon, the discussion became a serious effort. As luck would have it, I was about to be introduced to one of the recurring parts of the phenomena. A coincidence of events rebranded as a synchronicity. This synchronicity came in the form of another phone call a few days after Jake's. This time it was a man by the name of Justin Tandy. Is he related to... No, that's Just in Time. No relation. He was a director and ran a podcast called I Believe in Humans. Really? Wow. That sounds really woke to me. I believe in humans, but I'll beat up anybody that doesn't believe in themselves. That's how they roll. The conversation was very similar to the one I had with Jake, and Justin's interest in creating a film of me building the vehicle was in line with what Jake and I spoke about. Justin had a director of photography named Dustin Hoyer and the skills of directing, while Jake had the producer experience and a grasp on the vision needed to produce. So I introduced everyone, and things began to come together around the idea of simply making a documentary about my searching for the truth about UFOs. During the time social media began to grow, I was starting to interact with some, shall we say, rather interesting and highly imaginative people. I could separate the batshit crazy from the enthusiastic and legitimately knowledgeable. I needed to align myself with someone I felt may be able to navigate the who's who of UFO Twitter. Sean Cahill, who was on Season 1, was becoming a fixture in Season 2. I sent Sean a series of DMs, an email or two, no replies. So I started looking for other people when I created a form letter that I would send out to 5 or 6 folks from the TV show. The TV show got a hold of Sean Cahill. Cahill then contacted me. He said they would speak nearly daily. That's hard to say. Sean and I would speak nearly daily. Oftentimes 3 or 4 times a day, and almost always for over an hour. My wife was beginning to make some jokes about how I had found a soulmate on the other end of the phone. We would talk about our mutual dissatisfaction with the TV show and its editing, the importance and significance of Lue, the idea of never getting disclosure from the government, the nature of the phenomena, and our personal belief structures. Sean also gave me a lot of insight on others inside UFO Twitter. I was warned about David Wilcox, Richard Doty, not Phil Sims, Sims and Greer, you know who they are, and was introduced to little Timmy McMillan, Putoff, Semivan, and a few others. I told Sean about the potential film with my vehicle, and things began to shift into first gear. So now Sean is filling his head. Excuse me. Sean Cahill is filling this guy's head with who to stay away from in the UFO field, and introduces him to Hal Putoff, Semivan, and et cetera, the people who are, you know, on the other side. I need a break from reading for a second. My eyes is going crazy. This is amazing. Oh my God. It was at this time that Lou Elizondo entered the picture. So now we get going. Sean has always talked about Lou. While I maintained some contact with him after the TV show, I didn't make it a habit of reaching out to him. To me, he was the super important ex-government guy who was embroiled in the UFO topic at a level I couldn't even imagine. But Sean made it seem as if he and Lou were best friends. This is where Sean Cahill has a great imagination, and this guy is so narcissistic, it's sick. You have no idea what I know about Sean Cahill. This guy's got, whoa, is this guy angry? Very angry. Well, Sean made it seem as if he and Lou were best friends. In nearly every conversation, Sean was always saying, Lou said this, or Lou thinks that, or Lou has access to that, or Lou believes X, Y, and Z. I felt I knew more about the UFO topic than most humans ever would simply from Sean's accounting of what Lou was doing, thinking, and building. We were told that Sean and Lou were working on an extremely large-scale media project where Sean had taken on the responsibility of, in his own words, putting Lou in everyone's living room each Friday at 6 p.m. Do you see how stupid he is? I'm sorry, my eyes are going crazy. 6 p.m. on a Friday night is the absolute worst time slot in TV history. Well, let's go to 6 o'clock, right at the peak of the worst time to be on TV. People are getting off work. They're going home and showering to go out for the night, to be with their friends, to enjoy the weekend. Nobody's watching TV. Very few people are. At Friday night, come on. Everybody knows. Everybody. No, well, if you didn't, now you do. Friday's the worst. The worst. And that's where they put unidentified on. Right? 9 or 10 at night, Eastern. Or midnight. I think it was midnight Eastern. Well, whatever it was, it failed. And the only reason that show came to be was because TTSA, Tom DeLonge, and Lou, they were paying for everything. They paid to put the unidentified on TV. So it didn't cost the History Channel, if anything, very little. That's where your money went, Osvaldo Frankenbeans. It went to the shittiest UFO show on. Actually, it's not that bad, I have to admit. But it is. When you know the details like we all know the details, it's a terrible show. But to the general public, phenomenal. And that's all they care about. They don't care about us, which is really weird. Why do they care about us so much that they have to attack us and get all these little podcasts together, to come after us who don't believe in the same narrative? Wait until you see what happens next. Here. Now, I'm almost done with part 2, so we're almost done. No, we're not. But we were teased with the potential of getting access to locations that made Skinwalker Ranch look like a joke, and access to research facilities, ATIP investigations, and the whole 9 yards. Wait a second. They were gonna... okay. I may have read that wrong. Sean told Justin, Dustin, Jake, and me that he was managing Lou Elizondo's calendar and that anything he said to us could be taken as speaking directly for Lou. After Sean made that point extremely clear to us, Sean was unconsciously placed at an even parity in our own minds with that of Lou Elizondo, someone who had inside access and could facilitate conversations with Lou and get us to people and places we would never have been able to get access before. At this time, I also began to have reservations about things. I couldn't even mentally quantify them, but something, and only in retrospect, seemed off. However, the allure of having unfettered access to Elizondo superseded any of the initial red flags I had earlier, and I continued diving into this newly opened rabbit hole. Sean had become the yogi of our loose band of film project folks. He spoke about transcendentalism, meditation, his take on the phenomenon, the ideas of remote viewing and astral projection. Through all of his conversations, he always made reference to Lou, and somehow tie in Lou's approval of Sean's theories to bolster their credibility. Ian McFadden, throwing down a $2 two-quitter. That's a super dono. Thank you very much. Very, very much. A continuing supporter of GUFON. Mucho gusto, generoso. Ian, thank you. Sadly, I gotta go. All right? You guys are awesome. What's that? Check my messages again. Oh. Who's this? Oh, Rebecca Wiles with her Wednesday at Guj, $6 on PayPal. Thank you very much, Becca W. Mucho gusto, generoso. All right. It's not easy for me to read all this. Now we're going to go to chapter 3. Oh, wait, I didn't finish. At one point, Sean told us all a story where he was having a crisis of sorts in life, and he sat on his back patio and demanded that the universe acknowledge him. Do you remember this story, guys? Do you remember this? Listen to this. This is the mentality of Sean Cahill, which is also tied to Lou Elizondo because they're like-minded individuals. And now you're going to see why I get nutty. I'm open-minded. But I'm not open-minded to what you're about to hear. He insisted that the universe give him an answer, acknowledge him. His exact wording to us when he told us this story, that he insisted that the universe wave at him. He then told us how, at the same moment, a praying mantis walked past his spot, stopped, turned on its head, turned around to face Sean, lifted one arm, and waved at him. For Sean, this appeared to be a confirmation of sorts. I began to question things a little more in the front of my mind after pulling them from the back. These are the guys in charge of ufology in a way. So they specifically, Lou does not like the public for UFO stories for this reason alone. Hates that the public has the same exact experiences apparently as Sean Cahill, but when the public says it, they're on drugs and delusional. But when Cahill says it, it's magical, responsive. It's really the universe. You see the hypocrisy? I can't believe what I'm about to read you. I'm tired right now from reading, but I'm going to fight through this for you, for the American people, for those who know that we are truthology for ufology first and foremost. Right. Truthology for ufology. Where are those haters? No haters showing up tonight? You've got 20 minutes. What does my hat say or mean? Does anybody want to take a guess? Jammer Travels, that's a $5 super chat. The first super chat from you. Thank you, Jammer Travels, for the $5. What does your hat mean or say? Echo! Did you ever see Alien? Have you ever seen, right, the Nostradamus? No? That's not the hat. That's not the hat. Nostradamus. That's the hint. That's the clue. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it. Jammer Travels showing up with a $5 super chat question. Thank you. Mucho gusto generoso, Cerso. Or lady friend. We don't know. We can't tell who Jammer is. Jammer could be a female. Oh, it's 2016? Okay. I have a hat with the same exact writing, and it says Nostromo on it. You know, like, but I don't wear it because I don't like it. I don't like the hat. Yeah, I was gonna get another one, but I never did. I did order a new ice hat though. Yeah, that's coming in. I'm gonna wear that if Lou Jimenez comes on the show. Yeah. I still have the old one, but I don't like wearing it. He said I was wearing it to show disrespect for his heritage. I thought you were Hawaiian, dude. You know? Alukalaka Wami. I know you want to lay me, Lou. All right, part 3. This is long, but since I just read it an hour before the show starts, I have it all fresh in my brain. So here we go. Thank you for your support, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's 2016. You got it. Hey. Oh, it didn't show up. Hold on. I forgot to pull it back up. Whew. Tired. I'm not used to moving my mouth this much. Yeah, this is a lot. This is a lot. All right, here we go. For you. Okay, you ready? Part 3. This is unreal. I am very proud of everything that's going to come out of this because it proves everything I said about Lou was 100% spot on. And everything else, by the way. As the days and weeks went on, the conversations Sean and I had grew longer and longer, began to take a severe turn for the esoteric and what I refer to as the woo, with high doses of love and light. I was feeling a tremendous amount of whiplash to the point where I envisioned a mental neck brace might be needed to move forward with things. Sean was, on the one hand, encouraging my efforts to seek answers in the realm of nuts and bolts, while at the same time pushing extremely hard for me to adopt a philosophy of the phenomena being all about consciousness, intent, extra dimensions, and even to accept the idea of the galactic empire. Sean seemed extremely conflicted on a personal level and often questioned himself. Jesus HC on a popsicle. On December 18th, 2020, I received a text message from Sean. He was saying he would release a how-to video on guided meditation. But he also felt as if he was a tool, a sucker, a fucking foil, it says here. I took this to mean he was questioning his role with Lou. I attempted to appease him as best as I could and move on from that conversation, but the thought that Sean was starting to question things always stuck in the back of my head, though directly afterward there was no more visible second guessing from him. It was as if he had been self-convinced, or someone did it for him. For after this episode, Sean was 100% in. Wow. So maybe Lou got in his face and he said, You do this to me. You listen to me. You're going to do what I tell you. And you're going to say it's not this. And you're going to say it's esoteric. By the way, that's actually Sean Cahill. I was playing the part of Lou Elizondo. So, somebody did something to Sean. Sounds like it made him pick a side. You either do this and don't do that, or you do that and don't do this. You can't do both. It's either nuts and bolts or the woo and esoteric. He went with the woo-soteric. Woo-soteric! There's a new word. Woo-soteric. 8:17 p.m. Eastern Time on September 7th. Woo-soteric is now a new word. Woosoteric. Like me so happy, woo-soteric. I am not in the mood to read the rest of this. That's why I'm delaying it. All right. The main issue to me was that Cahill didn't seem entirely convinced that the general public should even be told the truth about UFOs. Sean began a trip down a road where he appeared to believe that the phenomena were part of a control construct designed to entrap and enslave humanity. Humanity. Jesus. Sean, chill out, dude. He expressed beliefs to me that we are on a prison planet. OMG. Wait a second. But he told McGowan, Cahill told McGowan, whatever you do, don't go near the esoteric, don't go near that. Wait, no. Hold on. He said, don't go near Wilcox, Greer, and those guys are doing that. So why stay away? This is so weird. You know why? Even though Greer is into that stuff, the CE5 meditation, Cahill's pushing it really hard. Cahill's pushing it. Holy Jackball Tuesday. Mike, man, get $70. $70? That's crazy. I didn't know you could put an alternate number like that. That's cool, Mike. Mike, dude, thank you so much for that, bro. You're like a huge supporter and a good friend of the show. Everybody, Mike's a stand-up guy. If you ever have a conversation with him, you'll know why. This guy doesn't bullshit. Nice guy. Thanks, Mike. And mucho gusto, generoso. I like to celebrate all denominations, all support. So some of you are here and you may not understand that. You're like, why does he have to do every one? Something I always done. Thanks. Yeah, if it got crazy, like in the old days when it would rain, $5, and what's his name? Mr. DB Cooper would keep doing it on purpose. Yeah, then I could see it being a little problematic. But, every 15, 20 minutes isn't going to hurt us. Thanks, Mike. That's a big super chat, dude. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So Sean Cahill thought it was a prison planet. All that inside of a nearly infinite loop of constant repeats until we get it right. His commitment to my vision of finding, identifying, and releasing the pure, unadulterated truth regarding the phenomena was taking a back seat to what I perceived to be his status and closeness to Lou Elizondo. I think Sean Cahill is in love with Lou Elizondo, just my opinion on that. I mean, man love, Sean was, in my opinion, absolutely convinced that everything about the phenomena was a danger, a threat. Not just in the aspect of nuts and bolts and laser beams, but that the entities or those responsible for the phenomena were somehow feeding on humanity. He believed that UFOs were in the process of removing people's consciousness from their bodies and replacing it with something different. He was lashing out at the UFO community, calling people fools for not having a clue what kind of control the UFO technology allows. Without any evidence, how could any one of us expect to believe such things? That's what I don't understand. Sean Cahill is totally scripted. This is scripted. Nobody thinks like this. Nobody. No. Not Sean Cahill. He can't think for himself. He's got to have Lou make that decision for him. Pick one or the other. You can't do both. Why can't I do both? You just can't. Pick a side. It's weird. So he lashed out at people all over. Here's a tweet. He put a poll out. A lot of folks ask me about tech. They ask about declassification, climate, and environment. Others want everything made public immediately and claim they won't trust any military or government. Show me your stripes. Full immediate declassification of known UAP tech is positive. Negative? Look at this, 75%, only 5.6% negative. After posting this tweet and seeing the results, Sean became rather agitated at UFO Twitter, calling people fools for not realizing, in his words, how quickly and easily the tech to cloak and destroy with near impunity, to remove consciousness from a body and change its contents, they want a dopamine truth boner, even if it makes them slaves again. This is pure delusional. What is wrong with Cahill? What happened? How could this happen? Seriously, I know some people here who, and that's okay, I don't mind. Nobody can prove anything. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's just I need proof. There's no proof that this is happening. Okay, so that's why I say, well, what is he talking about? How can he say such a thing? Because such a thing doesn't exist on paper, on video, or anywhere. It's all theory. It's all guesswork. I have to get more water. I ran out of water. Hold on a second. I'm going to play a video real quick. Oh, shit. I forgot to post these in last night's show. Did I do that? Oh, no. I thought I did. Anyway, this is only going to take 30 seconds. But just watch this. Hold on. I'll be right back. I just have to get a drink out of the fridge.
Person, of course, no, I will act responsibly. I will not press anybody. But I did have an exchange over Zoom with the curator of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. And she said, if we find anything, she wants to have it on exhibit there, because anything we find from an extraterrestrial technological civilization would be a piece of art, modern art, and she would like to have it on exhibit.
Well, if it's on exhibit, I think we should do a little bit more than just look at it. I think we should actually, I agree with you. I think we should press buttons, maybe do it in a responsible manner, but just have it sit in a museum and just look at it and not do some work on it, I think would be, maybe after you do some tests and studies, I would think would be more reasonable, because, you know, there is this talk in the community in regards to propulsion. And
all right, we'll get back to that if we have time. I forgot to play that last night, that part. I stopped right on it and never went to it. I forgot 3 things last night. All right. Let me pull the story back up. Now we're going into full overdrive here. 5 more minutes for the haters to call in. I can't believe they're not calling. I mean, really, I just can't believe it. You would think in week 2, somebody would have called, right? Well, they have 4 minutes. 4 minutes to call in. Only haters. And they have to show their face. All right, back to the story. This is the most amazing story of the year. For me, it is. So, according to Cahill, he thinks we're all fools if we don't believe the woo. So at this point, McGowan says, I was still battling severe depression, the depression I spoke about in part 2. I was yearning for a sense of belonging, for a reason to exist, and something to be relevant. I wanted something that would allow me to make my mark. I was easily manipulated and shaped. I found myself riding in a convertible down Woo Avenue where there weren't any ideas presented that were too insane. Everything explained seemed to make sense. Consciousness was the right approach to understanding the phenomena. What did I think? What did I think this was a nuts and bolts affair for? Woo was there. Woo was where the answers were. Crazy. Something rather striking occurred on December 9, 2020. This was one of those incidents where the information presented to me was so utterly contradictory to everything I believed at the time that it didn't even register with me. Even though I asked for and received that clarification, it went one ear and out the other. And it shouldn't have. It should have slapped my brain with a giant "Stop now! This isn't what you think it is" warning. But instead, I glossed over it and stayed on course. The event went down like this. Jesus Christ, I'm nervous. I was sitting in traffic on my way to work around 7:45 a.m. on December 9th, 2020. The highway was a full stop parking lot. So my mind began to drift as I watched the guy beside me pick his nose and chain smoke cigarettes. I reached for my phone and sent Sean a message asking why I, a 49-year-old with a crappy truck, a worse job, and no appreciable skills to speak of, was in the middle of a large-scale project with Lou Elizondo and not someone like Commander David Fravor, the pilot who laid eyes on the Tic Tac during the 2004 Nimitz encounter. Why would Lou invest his time in me and not someone like Fravor? As I said above, the answer I received should have shaken me to the core. But I think it was so bold, open, and honest that it simply didn't register with me. Sean's answer is my mental poster child for why I now question everything. Sean stated, quite matter-of-factly, that Lieutenant Commander Fravor didn't think the Tic Tac incident was actual. His exact words, that he thought it was fake. I sat for a moment in my car with a gobsmacked look on my face. Luckily for my tint, no one in traffic could see. Finally, I typed up a clarification text and asked, "What do you mean by he knew this was fake?" Sean replied, he thought it was fake, or ours, and he was sure. Didn't believe in anything past a black program and acted like he knew better. Pressing for more clarification, I responded with, "So he saw what he saw and he believed it to be U.S. technology and he propagated a narrative that he himself believed it to be false?" Sean replied with a heart emoji, signifying his acceptance of the correctness of my statement. I didn't know what to do with that information. The primary witness of the 2004 Nimitz Tic Tac event believed it to be either fake or U.S. tech, but was out and about pushing the idea of it being a non-human technology. What the fuck? But as luck would have it, traffic began to move and I motored my way to the worst job I've ever had and spent the next 8 hours imagining how long it would take my boss to bleed out from being stabbed with toothpicks. I think at a subconscious level, perhaps, I held on to that statement more than I realized, because if Fravor believed this to be U.S. technology, what the hell was I doing entertaining the ludicrous idea of a conscious connection and energy density levels with telepathic communications that caused praying mantis to stop and wave? Nothing was making sense. Perhaps my failure to key in on the idea that Sean, the self-appointed spokesman for Lue Elizondo, would say that Lieutenant Commander Fravor believed the Tic Tac incident to be fake because the rest of the words in the message Sean sent to me? He unloaded on Fravor, saying things like Fravor was way in over his head, saying that when Fravor did a UFO conference, he went from bashful to boner, and how Sean saw Fravor's ego explode. As if it wasn't enough, Cahill continued to bash Fravor and said that nobody liked him. He did not have a likable personality. And then continued to say that Fravor's the kind of guy who, if I was still a chief, he's the kind of guy whose ass I would have kicked. He's the kind of commander that I would have berated in front of his commanding officers for stupidity. I was taken aback by Sean's willingness to brutalize Fravor in such a direct way. I'd never seen Sean react with vitriol and hate towards someone, and I believe that it was for this reason that I failed to key in on the idea that Sean felt Fravor thought the Tic Tac incident was a fake. Mother of God, what the hell is happening to ufology? What is going on? They're falling apart on each other. They're imploding. You see? The truth always rises to the top. And the cream rises to the top. Oh, yeah. This just gets better from here. Now you get to find out a little bit about Lion Lue. Boo-hoo Lue. So, with Fravor, with Cahill calling Fravor out, which I think is actually, I think Cahill was right. But he shouldn't have done it the way he did, because I said that about Fravor. Something about that story just ain't right. We've all said it. Yeah, we could have blindly said it because you can say it on every story in this field, but not this story. Fravor seemed likable to me. I don't know. Sean has an ego, people. What you don't know, what goes on behind the scenes, that guy's scumbag. That guy is dirt. Let me take that back. He's dirty. He's just dirty. Yeah. Sad. No more GUFON callers. No more haters. Another failed attempt by the opposite side. And I'm not going on your shows. If you're calling out for me to go to your show, it's not happening. You come here and face the music, but you can't. All you're going to do is hide behind your computer. I'm going to make little videos about this guy, and I'm going to tell the world that he's a misogynist, a racist, a Nazi, a pig. I think he's homophobic, and I think he wears a wig. Rich, the GUFON guy. There, I wrote a song for you. Use it. All right, let's finish this toxic ufology story. But it's beautiful. Mental whiplash began again, and I started to have misgivings about my abandoning hard science in favor of transcendentalism and deep diving into consciousness and phenomena, especially in light of the fact that the yogi guru of the group who was practicing meditation and preaching the one brotherhood would blatantly attack someone. I was confused about what I was doing. Yeah, isn't that funny? We're a brethren. We stick together. Fravor, you're an asshole. When I expressed these hesitations to Sean, he told me a story. He began explaining that he had constantly been seeing what he called silver basketballs hovering around his house. But then they stopped. In an audio message he sent me over the Signal app, he alluded to the idea that he couldn't see the silver basketballs anymore because he had put his meditation practice down for a more neutral scientific approach. I took this as Sean's way of trying to get me to stay off the science and to stay on the woo. This was a red flag. Why would looking at the science be a killer for seeing silver basketballs? Why would Lue not associate with Fravor, especially if Fravor thought it was U.S. technology? It made no sense, but it wasn't yet at the point where I was openly asking what Sean said, even if he claimed to speak directly for Lue. Time passed on, and this team of misfits got Lue involved directly with the project. Sean promised us access to James Fox, George Knapp, Jacques Vallée, and many other big names in the UFO community. Check this out. We were all stoked that this was becoming an actual thing. Little did I know it would be the Swamp Thing and not the thing I had envisioned. But that comes later. The amount of information that was coming my way was simply overwhelming. I was developing insights on people based on what I believed to be accurate and honest assessments from Sean by way of Lue. So Lue's doing all his reconnaissance work on all of us with all the sock accounts and bringing it back to Sean Cahill, who's telling this guy everything. I remember when Jake Mann asked Sean if Jim Semivan was still in TTSA, to which Cahill replied, "He's not taken seriously off record." Sean would continue over the next several weeks, giving us hot takes on Putoff, Semivan, the Bledsoes, Greer, and many others. It seemed to me there were two faces to the whole UFO story. That there was the public-facing story where everyone is aligned, working for a common goal, and the more personal story where everyone worked from a competing level of interest, ideas, and thoughts, and behind that door of privacy, things were a bit nasty. This even trickled down into the individual personalities inside UFO Twitter, where Sean would give us insight into people he felt we should avoid. Sean's comments regarding Ryan Sprague being a whiny little bitch, and that Linda Thompson is LARPing and is a full-on fake and lures and suckers, became normal. In retrospect, it appeared to me that we were being divided from the start and categorized into an elite group. I knew that's what they were trying to make us all look bad while they build up whatever bullshit program that he was being a part of. What is it, UAPX, whatever it is. It's the Lue crew. And the Cahill of Lies. Ha, Hill of Lies. Damn, that's good. Let me write that down. And the other one was Woosoteric. Woosoteric. Kind of like Misohani. Woosoteric. Misohani. Mama. Sohani. Hey, what's this? Nathan with the $4 PayPal. Thanks, pal. Thank you, Nathan. Nathan Allen, probably the longest friend of the show, and me. Good guy, man. Thank you very much. Mucho gusto generoso, Mr. Allen. All right, we're rounding home now. We're rounding third. You can't round home, people. It just doesn't happen. All right. Right around this time, I came up with the name of my vehicle. Sean had been... All right, we don't care about that. The documentary project, it was still a documentary at this point, continued. We managed to get the crew, myself, and Sean's travel dates to all converge at Lou Elizondo's house for a week of filming. On January 15th of 2021, Sean flew from California to Vegas, where I picked him up from the airport. He stayed at my house, drank my coffee, went with me to my daughter's jiu-jitsu practice, ate my breakfast and my BSD on my house sofa. The next day, Sean and I would take the Osiris, the name of the truck, out into the desert and field test the Sky Hub by flying Sean's DJI drone around the vehicle to test triggering functions, only to find out that it didn't work. The Sky Hub wasn't even triggering on a drone just a few feet from the camera, and certainly wasn't triggering on hundreds of feet away. I was upset, but we decided that the trip to Lou's was still on, as this was just a pilot teaser test video for the documentary, and nothing of evidentiary value was going to be collected anyway. and we could simply fake it with the Sky Hub in post-editing. Here's what they recorded. This is the big drone drama test. Ooh. Wow. Wow, your DJI drone is cool. All right, that's all it does. 2 days later, after spending nearly 17 hours in the same vehicle, Sean and I arrived at Elizondo's house in Wyoming. My wife flew in the same day and was transported to Lue's house later that evening by the camera crew. We would spend the next 4 days filming something without a script and any idea that we were doing, and without written agreements, plans, strategic documents, or guidance. We were winging it from the start to finish, and we didn't even have an end goal. They're the kids right there. I met Lue's wife, Jennifer. She seemed to be a welcoming and decent person. By the way, I am almost convinced now that Jennifer is Richard Butt. But I think they both play off Richard's ass. Yeah. What? Richard Butt. The character. It's Lue or her or both. Who cares? It's them. You'll see why I think that when I read you this. It was very apparent, very quickly, that Jennifer wasn't someone who was just sitting idly by. She was very much a part of the process. She is highly opinionated and not afraid to speak her mind. Well, we know who runs the pants in that family. Now we know. At one point in the days that followed, I vividly remember Jen at her wit's end during a kitchen remodel gone wrong, where she unloaded on both Lue and Sean. She was furious that Lue wasn't getting a slice of the financial pie for this contract, and that, at a minimum, they, Lue and Sean, should reach out to the CO and get them to at least assign you a yeoman for administrative things. I didn't key in on that at the time, but in retrospect, two things now jump out at me. First is the fact that she referenced the contract, and second is the use of the term yeoman, signifying an association with U.S. Navy. Perhaps this tied into what Lue was about to tell me a day or so before this occurred. Entirely inconsequential for any part of this, I found it interesting how Jen stood an apparent 2 or 3 inches taller than Lue. I don't remember if it was Lue, Jen herself, or Sean who mentioned it to me, but apparently Jen is of Russian descent. Holy shit. Do you know what that means? This could be it. Lue could possibly be a double agent working for Russia with Trump. I said suppose. What did I say? Allegedly? No, I can't say that. Hey, anything's possible when somebody's of Russian descent. In America with Lue. I'm just busting chops. Oh, Lue, the American hero. Yeah, ooh. And Jen, the Russian spy. Ah, ooh. Together, they hunt UFOs. For money. Always have a good woman thinking about the money. Look out for you first. Family first. Fools later. That's what women understand it. Lue, how come you're not getting paid for any of this? You mean you've been outside doing this, playing games for 4 days with a camera, a drone, and your friends, and you're not even getting paid for this? Just test? What is this test? What am I doing here in my life? This is my life. I can't believe I'm with a guy who talks about UFOs day and night. Lue! The first evening we were all in Wyoming was absolute chaos. The film crew was outside scouting locations and shot placements while Lue, Sean, and I were on his back porch huddled around the grill watching Lue cook some dogs and burgers while we all tried to stay warm in the minus 12 degrees of the Wyoming weather. At this time, Lue looked right at me looked right at me, glanced at Sean, nodded, and looked back at me and stated, "They are real." No, he didn't. "Boys," look, this is Lue grandstanding in front of his own friends. "Boys, I'm going to tell you something. Everyone thinks I left the government. I didn't." That sentence in and of itself should have thrown me for a loop, McGowan says. But as it turns out, I was responsibly prepared for it to happen in one form or another. Back on November 29, 2020, I fielded a report from an Army captain who was in the process of witnessing a UFO event near the Indian Point nuclear facility in New York. The individual called me as the event occurred, and I took the report. I notified Lue, who asked if he could have my source's permission to share the report with the new UAPTF task force commander. When I gave the affirmative, Lue replied, "Copy. Under no circumstances can the general public know that the report has been shared with the USG. This is a gentleman's game." Oh, I'm sorry. Here we are. "This is a gentleman's game." We're going to have to hold on that for a second. "This is a gentleman's game. And mutual trust is of primary importance. The price of the ticket to play the game is knowing that you will never be able to tell anyone you are helping folks on the inside." So Lue still works for the government like we said he did. We knew it. Who else is paying him? We knew it. But this is really great confirmation. This is good stuff. This is good. What an asshole. Hey, we're going to take this report from someone in the public, but we're going to give it to the government. Don't frickin' tell anybody. You tell anybody, and I'll put one of these on your face. And he shows him his landing strip. Don't worry, Lue. I don't want that landing strip on my chin. I know what that means. That's right. You get to smell your chin hair every day. If you tell anybody I work for the government or these reports from the public are going straight to the government, you tell anybody that, and I'll force you to grow that thing. You got it? Got it, Lue. Got it. I got it, Cahill. I got it. I got it, Jennifer. Jennifer, what's with the gun? She's like, I'm just making sure you comply. I love that chicken. I love choking that chicken. That sentence in of itself should have thrown me for a loop that Lue didn't leave the government. But as it turns out, I was reasonably prepared to hear it. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. So, don't tell anybody we send this shit to the government. So, McGowan says, I bought this hook, line, and stinker. I felt special that I was so close. See, that's what Lue does. The false sense of thinking you're special, that you're doing him a favor and he's happy. Why do people want to appease this guy's feelings? Why do people want to make Lue happy? Because he's the guy who can get you inside information to the government and UFOs and secret things that are hidden at Area 51 and at Lockheed and all that other shit. Wrong. Wrong. Now you should see that it's all smoke and mirrors. It's nothing but a farcical. It's a lie to protect us from ourselves. That's the threat. The threat is the lie. Don't lie to us. Tell us the truth. We can handle it. No, Rich, people can handle it, but not crowds of people. And if we get this out, people are going to riot. So he says, I felt special, but this was like some clandestine backdoor effort of the USG that was likely akin to the resurrection of Project Blue Book, and that my silly ass, would be a part of this historical record that would someday come out in some FOIA and be broadcast everywhere. I was feeling pretty proud at the moment. Every piece of information I gathered since then points to the fact that there was no sharing of that report with the UAPTF commander. I even filed a FOIA request and attached the actual report to the FOIA requesting the same report with its chain of custody. Nothing. So whether Lue lied to me that day, which he did, or if there are such loose controls in that version of the UAPTF that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand does, I don't know. All I know is now I feel as if I was played. But that event backed up what Lue told me on his porch, that he never left the USG, the government. Back then, I felt I was inside. I was rubbing elbows with the person I thought would help change the world of secrecy. I was feeling pretty damn high on my horse. After the burger and dogs and after the camera crew departed, leaving only myself, my wife, and Sean at Lue's house, I was taken downstairs to Lue's office. This is the room where nearly everyone has seen the back 2 walls in countless podcast interviews. Lue moved around some military memorabilia, showing me the beret he claimed belonged to Saddam Hussein's limo driver, a few photos of Lue in military settings, both in and out of uniform, hung on the wall, but one thing I expected to see in his office was suspiciously missing. Now, I'll just tell you about this because it's a lot to read. Lue claimed, let me rephrase, McGowan heard Lue, I don't know how this happened, said that he asked Lue if he was a Mason. And Lue said, I'm not a Mason, I am a 33-degree Scottish Rite Mason. Now, it'll take me a moment to explain why this response gave him the chills. But let's start with the most obvious. It is absolutely impossible to be a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason in any open valley of the Scottish Rite without being also a 3rd degree Master Mason in good standing at an active and recognized non-clandestine Blue Lodge. So for Lue to deny being a member of the Blue Lodge but claim to be a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason is useless. I'm sorry. But him to claim to be a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason is, unless he is a member of an unauthorized, unrecognized, and clandestine valley of the Scottish Rite, bullshit. The other reason this bothered me so much is that I'm a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason myself. As a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason, I am also a lifetime member of the Scottish Rite Research Society. I receive quarterly magazines, bi-quarterly books, and random correspondences and maintain communication with other brothers on a routine basis. Not once had I received a notification that Cahill Elizondo had been bestowed the title of a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason. The 33rd degree is an honorific given to a Scottish Rite Mason as a lifetime achievement. It is not something that can just be sought after. Peers can only award it. See, I'm doing this. Becoming a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason takes nothing more than sitting through a few degrees and lectures. That's what I am. Once you're a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason, you have many opportunities to become KCCH, a red hat. Once you've got your red hat, it takes time, dedication, and service to the Scottish Rite to gain the white hat and become an honorary 33 degree Scottish Rite Mason. While I admit that Lue may be a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason in a clandestine and non-recognized valley, I am convinced he is not what he claims to be. His statement appeared to me to have been speedily crafted to bolster his status without fully comprehending the gravity or the ability to verify what he was telling me. So Lue lied to him, not knowing the history of the 33 Mason. I've met or associated with all having their Masonic aprons, certificates, regalia, and other accoutrements proudly on display, with the fact that I saw nothing displayed at Lue's house. Nothing that showed that he was in fact a Mason, let alone a 33-degree Scottish Rite male. I'm a 33rd-degree Scottish Rite. I'm a bully. Such a bully. As I mentioned, Sean and I spoke about Masonry. So what happened? Oh, this is amazing. So as they were driving along together for 17 hours, they exchanged a lot of information. And Sean Cahill gave Lue Elizondo bits and pieces of information without knowing all of what entails that they talked about, because Lue wanted to do a remote viewing session. Wait, hold on. Lue wanted to tell his future. He's a psychic. So check this out. Hold on. It wasn't long before somebody brought up the topic of remote viewing, a thing that I still didn't, still don't put much stock in. So I had a lot of questions for Lue. I sat at the table as Lue drew out a napkin, how there were different realms and how you could astrally project yourself into these realms, and how that, as he tapped on his pen on the napkin, if you ever end up in this realm, there is no humanity there. You can get lost and never make it back, as he points on the napkin to that realm. He's so adorable. I want to put Lue in my pocket and have him come to the gym with me, go food shopping, go for a long walk on a short pier. So Lue says, hey, you can't go to that realm. Once you go there, you might not make it back. Everybody makes it back, but you might not. My wife was mostly done with this conversation. She went off to bed. I stayed. I started asking clarification questions because most of what I was hearing didn't make a lick a bit of sense. And we're going to go over time a little bit. And I needed to understand. About a fifth or sixth question I asked Lue, I saw him take a posture that I interpreted as him getting upset with the questions. Hey Lue, let me ask you a question. What do you got? That kind of look? What a cocksucker. I hate that fucker, man. What a piece of shit, lying sack of turd. Let's see. At that time, the biggest show of bullshit I've ever seen came wafting my way, straight from the man himself, Mr. Luis Elizondo. Lue was sitting directly to my right, Sean was to my left, and I believe it was Jake seated to the left of Sean. When Lue appeared upset at my questions, he stopped. He reached over with his left hand and placed it on my right forearm, took a deep breath, dropped his head, and began to tell me about my life. In the future! Sorry. There you go. Take a look to the future. It's right here. Yep, I typed what you just read. Feel free to read that again and let it sink in before we go on. So Lue Elizondo, the public face of the latest UFO movement, someone who was apparently a member of the aviary and maintained apparently direct communication with the current UAPTF commander, someone who was previously with the DIA and had apparent ties to the Monroe Institute, was remote viewing me in the future. With his left hand firmly on my right forearm, Lue said to me, in 3 years and 4 months to this day, something is going to happen that will make you look back on this day. That son of a bitch was right. He didn't elaborate before he went on to tell me that my daughter would go to one of the most prestigious universities in the United States, and that I would fare a lot better than my ex-wife, who was going to suffer from drug addiction. Well, this is where I pulled it all together and called the entire situation a complete and utter circus of lies, misdirection, fantasy, and bullshit. At that very moment, I had a bit of a flashback to the ride up to Wyoming with Sean in my Osiris. I remember our conversation about family, and I replayed it in my head, looking for pieces of information that Lue could have received secondhand by way of Sean, and all these pieces started falling in place for me. This is the first time I've publicly spoken out of this outside of close friends and family. But I don't have one daughter. I have 2. I have a 24-year-old and a 9-year-old. I never mentioned my oldest daughter to Sean because that was at the time a relationship between father and daughter that was estranged and under repair. So I didn't involve her to make her known to anyone. Likewise, I never told anyone I had been married twice before my current and amazing wife, Edith. I never mentioned my first wife as ever existing to anyone outside my family. But I spent excessive time talking about my youngest and referring to her as my daughter because, quite frankly, she's a genius and destined for great things, and Sean had never met her while in and Sean had even met her while in my home. So, reflecting on Lue's future remote viewing words, I realized precisely what I believe to have happened. Sean was passing on to Lue tidbits of personal information on me, much the same way that psychics and roadshows do to their audience with the help of TV show producers. But Sean didn't have the whole picture, so Lue didn't have the entire picture. It all made sense. Lue saying my daughter, not my youngest, had he known I have 2, but only referring to her as my daughter, would go on to most prestigious university in the U.S., showed that he had no idea I had 2 daughters. His comment about my ex-wife, not my first or second ex, just my ex-wife, having a drug addiction problem, showed me that Lue had no idea I had been twice previously married. Again, reflecting on the conversation Sean and I had on the trip to Wyoming, I vividly recall telling Sean that my ex-wife had an addictive personality. She was a health addict, a gym rat, a marathon runner, someone who is addicted to fitness, and she's also a Mormon who doesn't even drink coffee due to caffeine. She's a full bird colonel in the U.S. Air Force. Holy shit, Lue got that wrong. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So they went back to his house this one night, that night, and Lue took his phone. What did he say here? He walked over to me, put his arm around my shoulder, and pulled out his cell phone from his back pocket. Looking at his phone, he said he was about to show me something almost no one has ever laid eyes on. He flipped through some photos until he landed on a specific video. Gingerly pressing play, he held up the phone for me to watch what was unfolding on the screen. The only way for me to describe it is that it appeared to be an old surveillance video. However, this seemed more blue than white. Unlike standard black and white videos, some telemetry was up in the corners and a targeting reticle was in the middle. There was a blob in the distance, non-ironically looking like a potato. Impossible to judge size or distance, I watched the blob for a few seconds until it appeared to race towards the camera when the video stopped. Lue told me it was a highly secret video smuggled out of Russia from one of the Russia's missions to Phobos. According to Lue, a UFO attacked the Phobos mission probe and destroyed it. This was on his cell phone, in his pocket. That is the oldest video. Everybody's seen that. But presented it to me as if it was one of the most crucial state secrets humanity had ever possessed. What did he expect from me? Was I supposed to fall on the floor and place myself in worship? Was this supposed to convince me that he had all the answers? Come on! I spent a decade plus in the military and have a fairly good handle on the understanding of classifications and CUI secret and TS materials handling. I absolutely can guarantee that a cell phone in your back pocket isn't one of the authorized repositories of sensitive information. The final night at Lue's house felt as if summed up my entire experience and solidified my belief that, like Sean said of Lieutenant Commander Fravor, none of this was real. That doesn't mean that UFOs aren't real off-world alien craft, only that the dog and pony show I had somehow slipped inside of wasn't what it was supposed to be, and certainly didn't feel like it was right. The film crew wanted to shoot an interview scene between myself, Sean, and Lou. They selected Lou's living room as the set location. Nothing was scripted. Everything was off the cuff. However, the words that were about to come out of Elizondo's mouth watered the seed that had been growing for days, and I was screaming inside, "This isn't right!" Lou on camera, and which can be verified through below tweet by Stephen Greenstreet, offered us an opportunity to go and retrieve pieces of alleged material that had been recovered from one of the most interesting events that we know is real, Rendlesham. It blew my mind twice. Initially, I was frigging ecstatic that I had a mission that was to be documented as I drove the entirety of the United States from Las Vegas to Ohio to retrieve what could be some of the most important artifacts relating to UFOs that humanity possessed. I was thrilled that I would be delivering those to Dr. Hal Putoff in Texas for analysis. I was over the moon thinking how brilliant this would come across on camera. I made it. I was absolutely in the club, being trusted with this mission of extreme importance for the entire idea of disclosure. But then my brief flirtation with this imaginary fantasy world gave way to critical thinking, logical thought, and my bullshit filter. This didn't make any damn sense. Why would materials from Rendlesham be in a private family's hands in Ohio? Why would this not have been analyzed before? Why wait for a TV show to highlight the materials? And for the love of God, why entrust a 23-year-old vehicle with a Geico liability-only insurance policy to transport what could potentially be the most important thing in the world across the entirety of the United States? Something like that should have an armored car convoy with U.S. Marshals transporting the samples to Los Alamos. Not me in a 99 Land Rover and a radiator hose tied together with duct tape. This was dumb. This was disingenuous. This was fakery. This was sensationalism. This was not in keeping with my original goal of documenting my search for data. This had been cooped into the Lou show, and I wasn't going to have a damn thing more to do with it, or so I thought. Part 4 comes the next time. That's it. That is unbelievable, the amount of Lou-ology we don't get. What a lion's sack, a piece of freaking poop. I feel bad for this guy. But that's it. That's the story. You guys, man, if you haven't seen it, I'll put the link into the show's description. But Jesus, I'll put part 3 into the chat room so you guys can look at this. So in case you haven't, that's the link. It's coming up. But unbelievable, man. Lou is so fake. Sean Cahill is so lost. This whole ufology on that side of the world is lost. And if you don't see it now, you're never going to see it. You're never going to see it. I can't do any more. This guy can't do any more than shed some light on what Lou Elizondo and Sean Cahill are doing to ufology. It's all smoke and mirrors. But tonight is about verifying it from a story from a person who was close, who was right there. He's not lying. He has nothing to gain from this. Makes me sad as much as I am mad. What's this? Oh, super chat I missed? Well, let's pull up super chats just to make sure. We don't want to miss anybody. Janice Joplin had one? Oh, yeah, that was a while ago, right? Yeah, I saw it and I never went back to it. Sorry, Janice. Yeah, thank you for the $5 super sticker. It looks like, I don't know, some sort of bird? But thank you for that. I appreciate it. I do. Janice Joplin. I think that was your first one to goof on, too. Let me see if I can find it here and just post it. Sorry, I missed it. So, no haters called. No haters chimed in, of course. It's weird. Here it is. Thank you, Janice. There it is, super sticker. Mucho gusto, Generoso. Hope you stayed for a little bit. That was about 23 minutes ago. Thank you. And who's this guy? JP. Thank you for being real and having a set of balls, unlike the Cry Baby Fest going on over at UCR. Are they're done though, right? He cried for 2 weeks straight. He says he doesn't resent it. I don't believe him. Yeah, he's just gonna make videos and be a baby because his hero let him down. JP, that's $20, and that is your first super chat. I can't tell you enough how much that means to me. It means a lot. Thank you. It all goes back into the show, and it's what makes us be boots on the ground. And you get one of these. Thank you, JP, for the $20 thoughtful Crybaby Lou chat. A super chat a gush. Mucho gusto, Generoso. JP. Jeremy Porbell? No, I'm kidding. Can you imagine it? Who's Seymour Cannabis, my favorite? Oh, what is that? Is that a Skittle pie? Skittle blueberry pie. Thank you very much for saying that. So much stuff. I never want to do that again. Don't ever make... I read once for like an hour straight, and this was almost an hour and a half straight. That was hard. Yeah, UCR. Unidentified celebratory review. You know who they are. The Lucy R crew. Yeah, they're all teaming up against me. Why? What am I doing? I'm not the big dog. I'm not the big dog. Physically or maybe vocally. But now, I'm the only one that's doing what we do. Because all the others left and went to the dark woke side. Yeah, I know. Woke means something, but we all hate the woke. At this point, it's useless to go after anybody in this field that's a podcaster. You know what I mean? You need to focus to the people who are doing the harm. I'm doing good. This is good. This isn't bad. I'm reading from Jeremy McGowan's blog, parts 1, 2, and 3. Don't you want to know how bad these people are? How awful, how backstabby they are? You can't trust them even in their own field. These guys are Sean Cahill picked on Fravor. He had no reason to. Nobody likes him. He's not a likable guy. Who cares? It's the story that matters. Put your feelings aside. Right. Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. Everyone's got feelings. They do. But this has never happened before. Ever. Well, up until recently. I mean, people have gotten upset. But they used to just say, I'm going to kill you next time I see you, or I'm going to rape your wife, as somebody told me. They didn't know, I got to go after everything they own. I'm going to go after everything they own, and I'm going to get more. And then a month later, that same person realizes, holy shit, they're trying to cancel me now. Why? Because I said one wrong thing, and you're now dismantling me just because of one wrong thing? Can't say that one wrong thing. You may have 20 years of speaking correctly, but that one mistake, you finished. That's what they do. You can't even nobody knows what you can and can't say. Oh, yeah, you can't say that. Why? Tell me why. Why? I need to tell you why? Remember when I said, oh, that's a stupid comment when I was on Ryan Stacy's show? He goes, don't say that. I go, what? I go, stupid? I go, they would have to be stupid to say that. What's wrong with saying that? But they're not. That's the whole thing. No, what they said at that time was stupid. You can't even say that anymore. Well, they're not stupid. I said, I didn't say they were mentally challenged. I said, what they just said was stupid. That's a stupid comment. They blanket everything with one comment. Gotta kind of close it all down. I don't like that shirt. But you liked it yesterday. Not today. You're out of here. Who makes the rules? I don't know what the rules are. Anyway, that's it for tonight. We went a little longer. That's okay. It was worth it. I want to thank the super chatters. My God. And Mike Johnson, pretty generous. And everybody else, JP and all the others who I can't remember everybody at this second. Jammer Travels, Janice Joplin, Ian, John, Griffin, Dakis, Guna, Wilka. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that support. Newcomers and veterans, thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. A little bird, I heard, said if you tell the audience to subscribe, that they will. And they'll come in droves, like, who knows, maybe 700 of you over a week. I don't know. Just a magic number I'm throwing out there. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we are Truthology for ufology. Oh! Truthology for ufology. Yeah, that's right. All right, tomorrow's Thursday. We've got a lot of work to do. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the hitchhiker bullshit stuff that these guys are now in. They're ensconced in it. They just can't get enough of this hitchhiker stuff. But it's so fun. We got to talk about it tomorrow night, and we'll talk other UFO news I didn't talk about today. Some videos and that tomorrow night on Thursdays. GUFON, and we'll be on at noon for GUFON Rules. GUFON Lives. Oh, I was going to change it to GUFON Rules. GUFON Lives. That's tomorrow. It's a nooner, but I think I want to go back to maybe 11 or 10, but tomorrow it's at noon. I don't like noon. By the time I'm done, All right. So what do we always do? We already said it. Truthology for ufology. Thanks, Coral, for hanging out. Appreciate the help. I really do. It does help, especially when I have to read like that. All right. See you guys later. Alien bless.